I'm your panelist for tonight. I'm a graduate of quantity survey. I've worked with Around Associates, AG Ferrero, Muxito Global Ventures, and also I served as the Nigerian Defense Academy Works and Physical Planning Department. So this is a Excel worksheet. These are the tabs. We have the home, the insert, the page layout, the formula tab, the data tab, the review tab, and lastly the help tab. And in each of these tabs we have ribbons, ribbons. So if you want to create a new workbook, first you go to the home tab and then you click on this blank workbook to open a new workbook for you to start your data analysis or spreadsheet analysis. And then, well, I won't be needing this for tonight. These are one of the recent works in which I've done, and if you like to, for example, say you want to, you have one of the workbooks that you want to pin at the top, like it's very critical. You want to always make reference to it. You can actually just come to this recent and then pin. You see there's a pin somewhere here, and then pin that work that you have. This is the info tab, which shows you information about the the worksheet that you are using. The save for saving documents, the print to print your work, the work done. So start. So this is an example of how to manipulate data entry. So I have uh, a sample here. We have Dangote. These are for cement. So we want to manipulate this cement here. We have the cost. This is just for example's sake. These are not actually the real cost of the items. So we have Dangote. Let's say the location of Dangote cement is in Sokoto. We have Bua. Let's say Sokoto. We have Lafarge. Let's say Lagos. Ashaka cement location. Gombe. Unichem Cross River. Reagan cement in Akwa Ibom. And then a fictitious cost has been assigned to them. Like Dangote, the cost of 45 has been assigned. For Bua, 4550. For Lafarge, 4440, and so on. And then this the quantities 2000, 12, 1000. So we start on how to get the price of this item. Now that's the price of this item. We have to multiply this cost by the quantity. In order to do that in Excel, if you want to use formula, the first thing you do is use the equal to sign. The equal to sign. So have equal to this times this to give us the amount. The same goes here. This times this to give us the amount. We can also copy the formula or the price and then just paste to the next item. Paste. We can also just copy and paste, or we can just come down. You see there's a plus sign. By dragging this plus sign down, it automatically calculates the price was using previous formula above. This whole range of cell here is actually it has actually been formatted to bring out this price using the naira sign. So in order to do that, you can actually highlight this range of cells from cell F5 to cell F10, from cell F5 to cell F10, and then you right click. If you right click, you see format cell. You click on format cell and then you come to currency. You change your currency symbol to naira. If you want to change to dollar, you can. There are several currency symbols here. Stop at the point equal to, click the equal to sign, and then average. We impute the formula average. It will bring some, it will suggest, it will bring out suggestions for you, and then you double click on the suggestion, and then you just highlight range of cells that you want to average. Another way is, again, equal to sign average. Now, instead of highlighting, you can just name your cell from cell D5 to cell D10 and close. It also gives us an average price. You can drag also this way, and then let's say we want to know this total summation of this price. Of course, you can click here and then just auto sum automatically. Auto sum. You have the price of this of this cement. The next should be sorting and filtering in Excel. So I also came up with an example. This here is material item, but it's not showing completely. If you want to make it clear, you just come to the top of this, between cell B and C. It will change to this sign here. Once it changes, just double click. Once the cursor changes to this type of cursor here, arrow cursor that has only two arrowheads, by just double clicking, it expands the selection criteria for you. We have this, I want to expand it. Here also I want to expand it by double clicking. Here also I want to expand by double clicking. Here also I want to expand. I want to expand here. And then here I think one of the issues I'm having here, instead of making it this long, by clicking on this wrap text ribbon, it automatically constrains the write up for you to prevent it from occupying a long range of column by doing this. Also, maybe sometimes you might decide to that, oh, you want to dictate how your words cut instead of using the wrap text. So instead of using the wrap text, you just come after maybe to site transportation to site, then by holding this alt and enter, it automatically goes to another, it automatically changes the paragraph for you. Transportation to site, loading and loading at 5%. This installation cost, I want to wrap the text, I want to reduce the size here at 25%. And all of this I want to make them bold as their subheading. Make them bold. Change the font size by clicking on this change font size here. The style for it, I want to use a cell style just to make it look unique. So I come here, I highlight the cell. Another way of highlighting a cell, instead of holding your long pressing and holding your mouse and then dragging, you can just come click on the first cell you want, hold your shift key and then move with your arrow key. By holding the shift key and moving, you can select multiple cells. So by selecting multiple cells, I want to use a different style for it. Let me say, let me use this style. I want to use this style. After using the, I want to change the font color. I can also do that with this. So now let's get into the calculation aspect. So the first one here, I have this 150 mm diameter at a price of 750. So the first here is to add 5% as a cost of transportation of this material. So the first thing I do is equal to sign, click on this 750 and plus 5% is 5 over 100, which is 0.05. So I have 0.05. So I have this here, which is 0.05. If I do click on enter, We already have this adding 5%, but then we have to add this amount. We have to add the 5% plus the basic price. So we have this plus the basic price, which is 750, times this plus this. So we have this as the amount. Another way of doing this is by clicking the equal to sign, having this and multiplying by 1.05. Sorry. By doing this is the same. You have the same answers, but different methods. The first method, you take the 5% of 750 and add to the basic price. The other is just by multiplying the basic price by 105%. It also gives you the same amount. So next here we have had installation cost, uh, profit and overhead of 25, same, equal to sign. We have this times 1.25%. We have the installation cost. So this automatically becomes our total cost of this first item, which is 150 diameter UPVC pipe. Uh, so we can just drag down this formula. We can drag it down. Can drag down this formula, and also we can just copy this and paste. We have a referencing issue here if we copy and paste. So we can't copy and paste, because if we do, we'll have issues of cell referencing. But if we drag down here, we won't have the issue of cell referencing. The idea is that if you copy this here and paste, if you see you're copying and pasting, you're actually multiplying by an empty cell here. So that's where the issue comes up in referencing. So our next lesson will be on referencing. We'll deal on absolute reference and dynamic reference. We'll deal on absolute reference and dynamic referencing. So we have a range of cell, a range of number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Horizontally, we have a range of numbers from 1 to 6. Vertically, we have a range of number from 1 to 8. So we want to deal with references here. So let's say we want to come up with a multiplication table using this format. So the first thing we do is, so using the normally, if you use the normal referencing without making an absolute or relative reference to a particular cell, it will you have issues when you try to copy it or when you drag the cell. So let me take for example this cell B41, which is this is 2 times this 2. So if I click on this, it gives me this. If I drag this way, this is where the issue comes up. So this issue can be solved using the cell reference. So the first result that we got was as a result of this cell B41 multiplying this cell C40 here. But this next one here that we got, we wanted it to multiply this cell B41 by this cell D40, which is 2 times 3, to give us 6. The same here, which is 2 times 4, to give us 8. But then uh, this is Excel. It will just keep moving. the figures will just keep moving relative to the reference, relative to the number that you are taking. So this other one here, it multiplied this B41 by C40. The next one did the same, just taking the former cell and multiplying by the next cell. The same thing happened here. Multiply the former one by the next cell. Finally, this multiply this 240 by 6, which can be shown here. Also, this also gave us the same issues. It multiplied this by this by this, and so on and so forth. So now, to correct this, we to want to multiply this cell here, which is cell B41, by this cell here, which is cell C40, which is cell C40. We've done that. Then this next cell, we want it to multiply. We still want to stay on this cell 41 here. We still want to stay on it and keep multiplying. We just want to keep multiplying by the top, and then we want to stay on this cell here. We want to stay on this cell here at this cell C41. So in order to do that, we just come here and make a relative reference to cell B41 by using the dollar sign. If you input the dollar sign, it means we are stuck to cell B41. But then this cell C40, it keeps moving. Uh, Also, we might also like to make a relative reference to this cell C39. But then let's see what happens if we try and multiply this, try and drag it across. We still have the same issues here. So we make a reference to this. Okay. So when we make reference to cell C, when we index this C here, it multiplies this 2 by 4. When we make reference, it's still multiplying this by this. It's still multiplying this by this, still multiplying this by this. So this shows us that we've made reference, we've actually told our cell to reference. At this point here, we told our cell to reference this 41. That means it should stay on this number 41. So as we keep moving, we are staying on 41, but we are moving. We are changing. E is changing, but 41 is static, same as the upper cell that we've referenced. As we keep moving, C is static, but we are moving. C is static. We held on to C. C is static. C is static. C is static. Referencing by having a reference this way, you can see what happened. When we indexed, we made our cell be static here by putting the dollar sign on the B alphabet, we stayed on B. And by putting the dollar sign on the 40, the number 40, we are also staying on 40. But the other numbers are changing. As you can see, this is changing, this changed, this also changed. So now this is the proper uh, uh, relative reference for this formula. We have 2 times 2, 2 times 3, 2 times 4, and 2 times 5, and 2 times 6. If we drag this down, we have 3 times 2, 4 times 2, 5 times 2, 6 times 2 times 2. We can also just come and highlight this range of cell and drag it down here. So we have this here. 8 times 6, 48. When we come here, 7 times 5, 35. When we come here, 6 times 4, 34. When we come here, 3 times 3, 9. So this is everything about cell referencing. So let me just make another example on absolute cell referencing. So we want to make a reference to an absolute cell, that this is the cell that we are referring to. We are not making any changes to that cell. Let me say, let me use this example 10. Let me come here and say 5, 6, 7. By dragging this down, Excel automatically just fills it up for us. Automatically fills. But sometimes if your laptop doesn't automatically fills it, then you can just come and click on this little button here. There's a drop down. If you click on the drop down, you see fill series. So if you click on the fill series, it automatically fills the number for you. So now I want to make an absolute reference to this number 10 here. We want to multiply this by this by this by this by this. So click on an equal to sign, this times this. Without making the reference, when we drag down, we have this issue. But then by inserting the reference, an absolute reference, in order to make an absolute reference, we have to use the dollar sign on both the alphabet and the number. So by referencing, by keeping this static, when we click on enter and drag down, yes, we've multiplied this by this, multiplied 9 by 10, 10 by 10, 11 by 10. So this is absolute reference. This is absolute reference. Uh, and again, when we click on this cell, cell C51, when we click on this cell C51, if you check this bar here, this is the formula bar. It shows us the formula. Sometimes we might want to probably hide the formula when making presentations. So in order to do that, you just copy all of this, you paste. But when pasting, you paste special. You paste only the values. So by pasting the values, if you click on this 50, on the formula bar, it only shows 50. If you click on this, it will only show you the number. It won't show you the formula or any other thing. So we have another formula here, which is the rounding formula, rounding up and rounding down. So you have a set of numbers here: 4.54, 4.49, 10.9, 9.1, 6.0. This is used sometimes in preparation of bills when you have some cover after your rates. So you can use this formula to just round your rates to a whole number or to a significant figure. Like you click on equal to round. We want to round this number by how many digits? By 0. We click enter. So it automatically rounds it to 5 for us. The same goes to this. We can copy and paste. By rounding it, it's rounded to 4 for us because it's less than 4.5. Dragging it down. When we round this, it rounded to 11. When we round this to 9. When we round this to 6. What happens when we round up? When we round up, we want to round up this number 0 decimal place. When we round up, we have 5. When we round up this 4.49 and we've rounded it up, instead of having 4, we have 5 because it's taking us to the next number. It automatically give us the next number. We want to round up this 10.9. It's giving us 11. We want to round up 9.1. It will round up to 10. We want to round up 6.003 to round up to 7. Now, what happens if we want to round it down? So we want to round down this figure by 0 units. When we round down 4.5, it takes us to 4. When we round down 4.49, also 4. When we round down 10.9, it rounds it to 10. 9.1 to 9. 6.003 to 6. So we are through with formula display. So I think I can move to the next lesson for tonight. Our lesson for tonight, uh, using the logic function, using the if function. So this is just some pre-calculated examples using the if function. These are some pre-calculated examples using the if and some if function. Sorry, these are some pre-calculated example. This is the constant for reinforcement, constant for y25, for y20, y16, y12, y10, and y8. These are their constants. So let me get started. So let me clear these formulas here. Let me clear this formula here. So clear this formula here. So for example, you made measurements, or you have a bill. You have a bill that has different quantities for substructures, different reinforcement quantities for substructures, and you just type them all down, and you want to aggregate the figures together. You can the if function and the sum if function is a very good Excel formula for this process. So first of all, we have this. We want to use the if function to actually calculate for us that if we have y16, if we have y16 as the reinforcement, it should multiply our constant by 1.579. Also, if we have y20, it should multiply our constant by 2.467. Ditto y10. So if we want to do that, we use our if formula. So start by using if, open bracket, has some argument. The if function has argument. The first argument is our logical test. What is our logical test? Our logical test is that if this is equal to this, comma, then our next argument is saying value if true. Value if true.
But I want to use this opportunity to call our attention to what is going on now. This aspect that we are in now is actually a very important aspect that is leading quantity surveyors into a new field that is called data analytics. Now, many people are making inroads into this environment. And for us who are in quantity surveying, if we have this competency also under our portfolio, that would, to a large extent, position
Sorry,
us.
my network got disconnected.
All right, you're welcome, sir. So please, let us pay more attention to this because it's very important. All right. I know we may have seen this part before, but there are new angles, new intricacies that he will be introducing us to, which will also help us in this new field that we're talking about, which is data analytics. What we're doing now is just the basics of it. It is from here that you have those baby steps, the ABCs that will lead you to constructing your long sentences. So follow through and pay attention closely to what he's doing. Thank you. Pierre Jamil, over to you, sir.
Have this we have this length of bar. So we use our equal to sign if open bracket. So this if function has three arguments. The first argument is our logical test, followed by our value if that if that logical test is true, followed by our value if that logical test is false. But in this case here, we are going to do something called nested if, which is a sum of which is a bunch of multiple ifs aggregated together. So our first argument is this if this is equal to if this is equal to this, comma, our value if true. If it is true, then we want this to divide by. We want it to divide by this. We want it to divide by this. This is the first if statement. Our logical test is this first statement that if this y16 is the same as this uh, y25 or y, if this argument, if anything in this cell A7 is equal to anything in this cell H3, then we want Excel to take the quantity in kilogram and divide by the constant here and divide it by this constant here. This is our first if statement. Our value if false, since we want to we're nesting these if statements together, meaning we want to incorporate a lot of if statements, starting from this y25, y20, y16, y12, y10. So at the point of incorporating the if statement for y10, then we include the value if false, which is this value of y8. And also in doing this, uh, we have to take into cognizance our absolute and relative referencing. So I want to make this logical test that if this is this, I want it to reference this by using dollar sign. I've made an absolute reference to it. Also, this result here, I also want to reference it. I also want to reference it. So This is our first if statement. We have our logical test and our value if true. So our next is to incorporate the next if statement. If open bracket, still this same if this y16 here is equal to this y20, we tag and make reference to this y20, comma, what happens, we want this cell, this number, we also make absolute reference to that number, comma, if still this same, if it's equal to, if this y16 is equal to y16, still we make absolute reference to it, comma, our value if true, we want this to divide this, we make absolute reference to the division, comma, another if this is equal, if this is equal to this, making absolute reference to it, comma, then we want this to divide this, absolute reference. Then finally our last if statement, if this is equal to y8, no, y10 is h7, h, because I can't see the h7, comma, value if true, we want this to divide i7. So this is where we incorporate uh, our last argument or last syntax, which is value if false, meaning if all of this is false, what do we want? We want, else we want this to divide this, absolute reference. Then we close our if statement. We close our if statement by counting the number of if statements we made. We close the bracket. This gives us the number of brackets that we are using to close the statement. And even though we are not sure of the number, we can just impute some brackets, and Excel will automatically ask if we want to make adjustments to the number of brackets we have. Here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we have 5 brackets. Okay, there's a problem with our formula because I didn't impute it. Yes. So this is the if statement. Anytime we have y16, this quantity multiplies this quantity. So we can validate this by cross-checking, equal to this times y16. Okay. I think there's a problem with my formula. I think there's a problem with my formula. 1 minute. 16. Okay. This divided by this. Okay. I think that was where my confusion came off. I use division instead of multiplication. So I can take this and highlight, because I want to automatically drag this down. If I say let me come here and click this plus sign and drag down this way, I'll have 0 0 0s here. In order to avoid that, I can come here, highlight the first empty cells that I want to skip, and then just drag down.
Right.
It automatically makes the same calculation for me. And in this way I can also drag down like this. Automatically it gives me my figure. So here I want to get the total number of reinforcement bar from this length of bar here. From this length of bar, I want to get the total number of reinforcement bar. And we know each length of reinforcement bar is about 12 meters, or let's just say 11.8 meters roughly. So I just say equals this amount I have divided by 11.8. I have 171. Using our rounding up formula, I can say equals to round up this figure. So I have 172 number of reinforcement bar. I can copy this, drag it down. So I have this here. I have this here. So it's as easy as that. The same formula applies to this remaining. The same formula applies by copying this. If I copy this and paste, I have this quantity. I can copy this and also paste. I have this quantity. I can highlight all three quantities and drag the figure down and just drag it down. I have this. So I might want to do some fast manipulations. Maybe if I see that the spacing between them is uniform, like this here is uniform. If, for example, if I remove this here also, if I remove this here and say paste here and say paste here, if I remove this and say paste here, so I can just highlight this cell here. I can make highlights here and then just drop down. It automatically computes the figure for me because the spacing here is uniform. So I can just drop down and it automatically calculates for me. So I think we are through with this lesson here. Let's go to frames here. So for frames here, we are going to use this weave formula for frames with our number of reinforcement of each reinforcement bar. So we have y16, y just to have uniform inclusivity. Let me change this to y20, y20, y16, y10. Yes. So I want to aggregate just the figures of reinforcement in these frames that I have here, just the reinforcement figure for each reinforcement bar. Let's say y16, y10, y12, y20, and so on. So using the sum if formula makes this achievable. By clicking the equal to sign, we say sum if open bracket. So the sum if also has some criteria, or let's say argument or syntax for the execution of the formula. The first argument is the range. Our range. What range do we want to take into cognizance? Our range of cells. What range of cells do we want to take into cognizance for this sum if formula? And after this range, what is the criteria of the range? And then after that, what is the sum range? So our first range is this. We are taking this range here. We are taking this range here down here. We are taking this range here down here. Uh, comma. What is our criteria range? The first one we want to look into is y25. We want to look into y25. So our criteria is y25. If we want to impute this y25, we have to include what do you call a quotation mark? A quotation mark. and then write y25, close our quotation mark. That is our criteria. Then our sum range, where do we want this formula to sum after getting this y25? What do you want it to do? Where do you want it to sum? We want summations from this range of data, from this to this. So we fulfilled the requirement of the formula. By doing this, we can close and click on enter. We have 0. There's no reinforcement y25 anywhere from cell A18 to A31. There's no y25. But what happens if I change this to 25? We automatically have a number here, which is this 4259.66, just by changing the cell here, just by making this y25 result in our output here. So in order to make it more interesting for us, we can decide to use this. We can decide to change our sum range to this here, this f here, where we've rounded up. We want to change our sum range to f. But what happens if we change this to 25? We have 42 numbers. Y5 cell A26 to 26. Now we might want to get the number of this. So by doing this, we can just automatically we automatically have the number of y25 reinforcement here. We can apply the same formula by dragging it down. But when we drag down, we have issues of cell referencing, because as we drag down, notice our formula went from A18 to 31 to A19 32. Same thing happened, A20 33. So the first correction we need to make to this formula is to make this absolute reference, is to reference this absolutely. We don't want to go outside this boundary. We don't want to go outside this boundary. We don't want to go outside this boundary. A18 to A31. So by dragging this down and checking, we are still on A18 to A31. So all we need to do now is just to change from y25 to y20, from y20 to y16 to y12, from y12 to y10, from y10 to 40 to y8. So this is how we use the sum if function. This is how we use the sum if function in summary. Okay, so our next lesson is still on the if statement. Let me just come up with let me come up with uh, let me just come up with an example. Let me just come with an example using the if statement. So we want to know we want to grade students. We want to grade students using the A, B, C, D, E, F grade, from A to F grade, and with their distinctive scoring. First, we define the rules of our scoring. So people that score A will be from 70 to 100. B will be from 59 to 69. C will be from 49 to 59. D will be from 45. Let's will be from 40 to 49. So this should be 60 to 69. This should be 49 to 59. This should be 50 to 59. This should be 40 to 49. People that score E should be 35 to 39. And people that score should be from 0 to 34. So we have our criteria. We've established our criteria for grading. We've established our criteria for grading here, and then just give list some just list some random names uh, Joe, Sam, uh, you know, Joe, cute, uh, Alpha. Uh, so let's say Joe scores 90, Sam scores 56, Eno scores 25, Zoro scores 44, uh, Cute scores 68, Alpha scores 80, 71, Caesar scores 39, Lumin scores 33, this scores 49, Express scores 60, one scores 40, another scores 35, this scores 70. So we want to use if statement to actually come up with grades. So using if statement, if we also nest this if this score is is greater than is greater than 69, our first argument should be if this score is greater than 69, comma, our value if true, in quotation a, another if statement, if this score is is greater than 59, our value if true, b, another if statement, if this score is greater than 49, is greater than 49, our value if true, we want it to show c, if this score is greater than 39, our value if should come d, if this score is greater than 34, our value if true is e, else if none of these statements are true, we want it to come up with f. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 statements. So our first is called 90 a. So for someone that scored 56, is c, is falling within this range. Someone that scored 25 is an F, is falling within this range. Someone that scored 44 is a D, is falling within this range. Someone that scored 68 is a B, falling within this range. Someone that scored 71 is an A, is falling within this range. Someone that scored 39 is E, is falling within this range. Someone that scored 33 F, is falling within this range. Someone that scored 49 has a D, is falling. Someone that has 60 has a B, is falling within this range. Someone that has 40 has a D, is falling within this range. Someone that has 30 is falling within this range. Someone that has 70 has an A because it's falling within this range. Uh, so that will be all on our sum if statement and our sum if statement. Uh, okay. Want to use other statements. Uh, I want to come up with an example to do an or statement and an or statement. So let me just come up with civil so and statement if and statement is our first logic. If this to our first statement using and if this is equal to if this is equal to civil comma and our next statement if it is equal to kd close. So this is our logical statement. Is asking of value if true. If this is true, we want it to say true. Want it to say true. If it's false, we want it to say false. So this statement is true. This is just all about and using the and condition, that if this and this is this, you should just tell us if it's true or false or whatever we want it to tell us. Same here with our or condition. When we use our and statement, it's telling us that it's false, meaning this and this is false. We change this to or just to show us or statement. If and this is or, this automatically tells us true because the condition is that if either of this, if it shows civil or Lagos, just tell us that it's true. And here we have Aki, we have Lagos. One of the statement is showing us Lagos. So the output of the argument comes out as true. The output of the argument comes out as true. So I think this is our last. This will be our last lesson. Use on logic of VLOOKUP. Also, we use some ifs. Uh, we use logic and VLOOKUP as our last lesson for tonight. So using VLOOKUP is just uh, so we have a range of data here. We have number of staffs, we have staff name, we have their role, their department, where they were deployed to, their salary, account number, and allowance. So first we want to get the total of these staffs here. You can use the count formula by coming down, just dragging our cursor down and count numbers. We are there 31 in number. Let's just count numbers. 31. That's one number of staffs. Uh, Total salary made per month. By dragging this down, we can come and auto sum. So we have the total salary paid, and then we can format this cell here by using the comma and removing the decimal places. We have this total allowance. We can also auto sum and use the comma here. Remove the decimal places from the calculation. So now to our VLOOKUP is just vertical lookup, meaning we are looking for something in one of these rows, in any of these rows here, in any of these columns, sorry, in any of these columns here. Vertical, V for vertical, meaning this any of these columns here. We want to look for something in VLOOKUP. Maybe if an organization has 1,000 staffs and with a roll call, a register such as this 1,000, and you are looking for something specifically, you can't just start scrolling and looking. You have Excel to do that for you, which is very easy. So we use our equal to sign. You click on VLOOKUP, brings suggestions. When you click on V, you have suggestions. So our lookup value, so that we need to do our lookup value. We want to, let's say we don't know what we are looking for yet, or we want to look for a lot of things. We can just make reference to an empty cell. This will be the cell that we impute whatever we want to look for into. So our first argument should be an empty cell for easy referencing. So our next argument is table array. Which table are we looking into? Which table are we looking into? So we want to look at this table here. We want to look from, let's say, from this here to this. We want to look from this, look at the whole table. The second argument. Our next argument is our column index. So our column index in VLOOKUP, this first the leftmost column is the index number 1, is indexed at 1. The next column is 2, third one is 3, the fourth one is 4, the fifth one is 5, the sixth one is 6, and so on. So in VLOOKUP, the first column is indexed at 1. So let's say we want to look at uh, we want to know cell range lookup. Using the always just use the false as your last argument. You want the exact match. If you use true, it will bring out some funny results. So always use false in your argument. So our argument is saying not available because we referenced an empty cell here. But what happens if we change this? Staff name John. John is deployed to Kaduna. If we change the name, maybe to, let's say, Max. Max is also deployed to Kaduna. If we change to Zizu, Zizu is deployed to Abuja. So you have a range of tables, and then this VLOOKUP just helps you to know where this first argument is our lookup value. We want to look up at which staff name are we looking up. We want to look at one of these staffs. We want to know where it's deployed to. So from this, we'll go to the next argument, which is the lookup table array. This is the table array. From there, we have the column index. This deployment here, the column index. We want to know the deployment index to 2. We'll have something different. We'll change it to friend. So that's how the VLOOKUP works. So finally, this is the end of our lesson for today. This is the end of our lesson for today. Thank you for attending.
Thank you very much, Curious Jamu. Who would have thought Excel had all these functions? I mean, up until now, I only know how to do plus and minus and multiplication using the bill of quantities, but I actually learned a lot. Please, the floor is open for questions. I noticed there were some questions dropped in the Q&A session that Curious Jamu may not have touched. So this is an opportunity for us to ask the questions. Please drop your questions, clarifications, or if you have any questions you need him to touch on. Now it's time to ask. The floor is open. Curious Jamu, at the beginning of the lecture, I saw the symbol, the Naira sign, when you were
Yes.
computing the money.
Yes.
Could you please tell us where the symbols, the currency symbols are?
Yes. Well, if you click on the cell in which you want the currency to appear, you click on the cell and you right click, you go to format cell. Once you format the cell, you see uh, a range of numbers, I think. Once you click on format cell, yes, under the number category, you see currency. So under the currency, you just change the symbol to Naira. That's it. That's it. I hope you understand now.
I do. Thank you. Also, I was going to ask that apart from, it's very difficult for beginners like us to understand what all these new symbols stand for. Do you have like a compilation of shortcuts and meanings? Because I noticed
well,
like when you put the equal sign and you're putting if or add, there's some options that come up. So I want to believe that Excel has a compilation of shortcut keys. Do you have something
well,
like that
well,
you can
Excel
share
has,
with
but
us?
I don't use shortcut keys in my operation with Excel.
Right.
Yes.
All right. That's fine. Okay, thank you.
All right.
The floor is open for questions, please, if you have any. Um, there's somebody is asking somebody is asking in the comment section saying what's the difference between and or.
Oh, and is
Aliyu,
just
yes, Aliyu Kotu is asking what's the difference between
yes.
and or. And
Oh,
or.
greetings, Mr. Liu. The difference is that when you use and, you are comparing probably two or more results that you want to come up with an exact match. Just like saying, maybe let's say orange, and you have a list of data, and then you want to make comparison whether one has orange and banana, or orange and apple. In the case of orange, when your first cell you imputed orange, the second one you imputed um banana. Maybe you have of
Sorry,
cells that have
Kenny.
different.
Sorry, please can you
Yes.
display your screen while answering the question so that you take people through? If you are talking about and or can you display your screen so that they can follow the your answers? Thank you.
Okay. Yes. And or. So in this first case, we are using the and function. For the and, the argument imputed was that we want to know are KD, if both are civil and KD. If they are civil and KD, it will come up with true. But if we change it to or, and means both of them must. You must have that argument A and argument B must be in your data. But in or, one of them can be in your data and the answer comes out as true. If both of them must be in your data for the answer to come out as true. That's just the major difference.
Yes, Jamiu, thank you so much for what you have done so far. Um,
Alright.
Mine is what I want to do is to throw more light to something you have already explained earlier. And if you can just display your screen
Okay.
again, where you
Okay.
did cell referencing. Did you get me, sir? All right.
Yes.
I think under module 1, where you did cell referencing.
Yes.
All right, just select any of the cells that have the reference. All right. Okay, to throw more light to this cell referencing, spreadsheets, like we know, Excel is part of the spreadsheet family, and we have Google Sheets, Google Spreadsheets also, or Google Sheets, and we have a Zoro or something like that. There are so many of them that are spreadsheets, but they are built on the principles of rows and columns. Now, where he has his the cursor presently selected on column C and row 41. All right, column C and row 41. Now, if you want to do any form of cell referencing, either relative or absolute, the position of your icon, the position of this your dollar sign is very important.
Yes.
If you place the dollar sign in front of the column, which is in front of, that is before B.
In front
That
of the
means that you
alphabet.
want your column to remain steady. You don't want it to shift from that B. And if you place it before the row number 41, that means you don't want the row also to shift from that level where it is. So there are times when you will have to put the $ in front, before, or completely out of the cell that you're referencing. But one thing that should guide you at every point in time is that you only place the $ either before the column or before the row if you intend to fix it so that it will not move away from that place. So that is very, very important. The way you explained it was quite clear, but I still see that some people were still having issues about that. They were getting across to me that this is not exactly,
Okay.
you cannot exactly understand it. That's why I had to let them understand. The
Okay.
placement is based on either you want to fix your column, you don't want it to shift away from the column, or you don't want it to shift away from the row. And if you don't want it to shift away from the cell itself, that means you want to fix the column and the row. That way you have to make sure that both the column and the row has that $. We call it the pound sign. All right, thank you, sir. That's my
Nice.
my contribution.
Thank you
There's
very
one
much.
more question. There's one more question, please.
Okay.
That's from Justice Ukechukwu. He's asking that is it achievable to split columns without having to merge cells?
To
For
what?
instance, having like 4 columns up and downwards, having like 6 columns.
I don't get the question. Is it achievable
Is it
to
achievable to split columns without having to merge cells?
split columns without having to match cell? Is it? I don't think so.
Now, I also don't think so, but
I don't think so.
Justice, could you throw more light on your question? Because I don't think that's achievable unless you're asking about something else that still has not been answered. Justice, does that answer your question? And if not, could you rephrase it so that the resource person can answer?
Here's Jamil. Maybe
Yes.
if your screen is up, if you have your screen displaying, maybe people might
Yes.
have more questions from more reactions from that.
Okay.
Yeah.
QS Jamil,
Yes.
I think I'd like to take you back to the logic function under
Okay.
the module 2. When you were taking
Under
that,
what?
under the module 2, the logic function,
Okay.
and that is the if statement, some if statement.
Okay.
Then scroll back up. Okay, using the reinforcement bar, I was actually thinking that while giving the instruction in the cell, since you're trying
Yes.
to get the number of reinforcement bars, linking them up with the kg, that is the multiplying factor for each of the reinforcement bars. You have the multiplication instead of you, I think you were applying division. You should have been
Oh.
applying them.
Oh, I think it should have been more division, because this quantity is already in kilogram. I'm changing back to meters, from kg to meters.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I thought you were actually trying to get the number.
No.
Okay. It's all right.
I think Jamil, are you there?
I'm there. I'm here.
I am also trying to see, instead of using this logic function here,
Yes.
can we also use VLOOKUP here also, can it work? VLOOKUP.
No, it can't work.
Okay.
It can't
Well,
work. VLOOKUP can't work.
okay. I was just wondering.
Okay,
Abe
okay,
okay has a question.
think I think I see a question. Can if statement be used
Yeah.
in building of rates in bill of quantity?
Yeah.
Well, depends on the context. I think though it's not ideal to use it in building up rates, but it can still be used, but it's not ideal.
Like yes, Jamil, in response
Yes, sir.
to that question, I think if you're not a rate and you are trying to apply some of these formulas, you are supposed to have a different worksheet completely from your bill of quantity
For your assumptions, yes,
for
for
your
your
input.
input,
You
yes.
understand?
That's why I said it's not ideal to build up a rate using the if statement, but you can.
Okay, you can actually doing it on a separate sheet and then referencing using cell reference now from that sheet to your bill of quantities. I think you can
Yes,
do that.
yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
All right. Thank you.
So someone is asking, please, how will someone drag cells without empty cells showing? Okay, how to drag cell without empty cells showing is just, for example, here, let me clear this. Clear. So we have something here. Once you highlight plus the empty cell, the cell you want to skip, you highlight them all together and then just drag. If the spacing is uniform across, you can keep dragging. But if it's not uniform, just stop and then continue. For example, maybe here we increase our spacing here, increase our spacing here. So if I attempt to continue this, I actually have 0. If I stop and drag, stop here, come here again, highlight, drag, highlight again and drag, that solves our problem. So one is asking, can I share screen? Yes, please. This is the cell reference screen. Do you have any question on cell reference? I've shared the cell reference screen. Do you have any question, Mr. Damilola Adebayo?
Abdurrahim is asking for the template that you're working on. If it's possible
Okay,
to share it.
okay, I'll share it after the session. I'll share the template after the session. Well, cell reference is just basically used for let's say to fix the position of a cell location to prevent it uh, from moving. For example, this this work that was done, this, if we didn't make reference to this number 10 here, then we won't be able to achieve this result here. By fixing or by referencing this cell here, we are able to achieve uh, data. Without fixing this shifted, this will have also shifted, this will have also shifted. We can also see the use of cell referencing when we want to use this sum if. Without fixing the cells, it will just keep shifting one cell down. The formula also move one cell down with us. Fixing the By making absolute cell referencing, we are preventing that from occurring. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Chris Jamiu. Like your CJ says, we'll let you go for now. And if we get any questions before the class tomorrow, we will collate them and we will commence tomorrow's session with those questions before we begin tomorrow's session. We really appreciate your time and effort in putting this together and taking the time to explain. And we look forward to having another remarkable and very, very rich session tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
I don't know. Mr. Bukola, please, do you have any comments before we close?
None really, just to appreciate the resource persons. I mean, we are fully prepared. We hope to see him tomorrow fully charged for all our questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma. Thank you very much again, Chris Jamiu. Thank you to the fellow resource panelists and to the participants. We appreciate your time. Thank you for joining. And we hope to see you bright and early tomorrow to continue the second session. Have a good night, everyone.